Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon. A very warm welcome to all of you to the official opening of the Imperial College London new sports centre, Ethos. And what I'd like to do in particular is welcome our distinguished guests to this opening ceremony. First of all, Sir Roger Bannister, track and field legend and Imperial alumnus. A great welcome, Roger. Michael Payne, former Director of Marketing for the International Olympic Committee and currently advisor to Bernie Ecclestone. Martin. And then, of course, we have the coach and two of the British men's 8 rowing gold medalists at Sydney Olympics 2000, all of whom, of course, are Imperial alumni. Martin McElroy. Martin was the coach of that 8, and Louis Attrell and Simon Dennis were the 2 gold medalists. Unfortunately, Luba Graber, who was the other one, so we had 3 gold medalists in that boat. Luke is not well today, so he couldn't be with us, but our thoughts are with him. So today is a very exciting milestone in Imperial's continued commitment to provide a world-class educational experience for our students. This is crucial both in ensuring that we are able to attract and recruit the very best students from around the world, but also taking the opportunity to guarantee a fruitful university experience for our entire college community. And this priority is illustrated by the amount of construction work you will have seen around this campus. We're investing in student accommodation across the other side of Princess Gardens. We're building a £51 million hall of residence for our students. That will house around 400 students. That will open in September of 2007. And we're also refurbishing the Bite Quad, which is the Student Union headquarters, which is along Prince Consort Road. And then, of course, we've got this fantastic £17 million facility already making, I believe, an enormous difference to the student experience. This indoor facility is just one of many sporting facilities of the college and complements the boathouse at Putney, the tremendous outdoor facilities that we have at Harlington and Teddington. And Imperial, as we'll see later, is capable now of supporting elite athletes, but also with an ethos that we have, a sport for all. So there's something for everybody in the facilities that we have. And as you look around here today, I'm sure you'll see that. This, I have to say, is the first higher educational facility in the country to offer free use of gym and swimming pool to all students and staff. It's already immensely popular, with 8,000 staff and students registered at the facility. And this, I believe, demonstrates the college's commitment to healthy campus living. Work hard, play hard, that's our motto. Work hard, usually sport to support the brain. So, large projects like this don't just happen, of course, without the contribution of many, many people. And I'd like to take this opportunity to thank those individuals who have made a big impact on bringing this facility to fruition. First of all, Professor Rhys Rawlins. Where's Rhys? There he is, hiding. Rhys had the original idea, and he led the project team throughout the development and worked with the students to make sure that we produced something that everybody wanted. So thank you very much, Rhys. Neil Mosley and his team of sports team at Imperial, and in particular Grant Danskin and Joe Evans, for providing the necessary expertise and enthusiasm in making sure that we got a quality product at the end of the day. So thanks very much, Neil, to you and your team. And then from Estates, David Brooks-Wilson and Steve Howe, and all their teams in their States division, obviously, who were responsible for making sure that this building was constructed in the proper way. So, to the Estates people, thank you very much. And then, of course, that would not be complete without the contractors who combined to create this building, the architects, Arabs, and in particular Rachel, ISG for construction, and Bovis Lend-Lease for their project management. To all of you, thank you very much. So now I'm delighted to introduce our next speaker, Michael Payne, who's been at the forefront of sports marketing industry for the last 30 years. After a 21-year career with the International Olympics Committee, Michael took on the role of special advisor to Bernie Ecclestone, and that was in 2004. Michael has overseen the marketing effort for 15 Winter Olympics and Summer Games, and now, of course, we're looking forward to 2012. Imperial has committed the use of its facilities for the London Games after this facility was assessed as part of the IOC London visit in February 2004. So, to hear more about the importance of sport in London, please welcome Michael, who's going to talk to us now.
Well, good afternoon. Great honor to be here. Also, I never believed that I would be back in my home city, being born here in London and seeing the Olympic Games come to London. Because when I started my Olympic career, not as a sportsman, but as an administrator, you couldn't give the Games away. If you think that a year ago, London was embarked in one of the sort of the greatest races of all time against Paris, New York, Madrid, Moscow, and if we're honest with ourselves, last April, not that many people gave London a chance. When I started out in the Olympics, you literally couldn't give the Games away. For 1984, there were originally two candidates, Tehran, and then there was as has been referred, a slight management change at the top, and so they withdrew, and Los Angeles. And Los Angeles decided that they would have a vote as to whether it was a good idea to have the Games. And they had a vote. 84% of the people said no. So you had to go back to the drawing board and see, right, with no candidates, how could you begin to stage the Games when, with the memories of the bankruptcy of Montreal and everything, nobody wanted to host them. A remarkable transformation over the last 25 years, and I don't think anything will perhaps fully prepare London for the true impact that the Games will have on London, on Britain, on the community as a whole, as a catalyst for developing, developing the whole city and country. It'll be interesting to see what London in 2012 will bring to the table by way of innovation. And I was trying to think, talking here at a university that is focused on innovation. It's interesting to recall back the last time the Olympic Games were in Britain, 1948, there was perhaps London introduced one of the most important elements or contributions to the Olympic movement and to the modern sports movement. And that revolves the era of television. But not just the era of television, but the era of TV rights fees. Because back in 1948, the organizing committee had no idea how they were going to fund the Games. And so they decided that this new medium of television would be a good vehicle, and turned around to the BBC and said, well, why don't you pay a rights fee? And the BBC didn't really think this was a very good idea. They thought that this would set a very difficult precedent, having to pay for sports events. And so they tried to resist the idea, and months of negotiations went on, and eventually, the BBC did the right thing and agreed to pay a rights fee of 1,000 guineas for the rights to transmit the London Games. The 48 Games went on to be far more successful than anybody forecast, and they actually made a profit. So the good gentlemen at the BBC, being the English gentlemen they were, decided not to cash, so the organizing committee decided not to cash the check. But the principle of TV rights fees and the funding mechanism for sport was established. So it'll be interesting to see what in 2012 will be the innovation. The rector mentioned that Imperial College played a key role in the review process when the IOC sent the inspection team to London. They came here and saw some of your accommodation facilities. It was a very close race that London won by. I think it wouldn't have been nearly as close if the IOC inspection team had been able to see these facilities. Also leading, one of the key players in the big team who led the whole technology thinking was your pro-rector, Tidu Meni. And he is now chairing the technology committee for London 2012. So it's going to be to Tidu to find and create the new thinking, the new inventions that will, from a technology and innovation standpoint, put London on the map in 2012. I can only congratulate everybody for building this spectacular facility. I think you're going to have an incredible competition between the 200 countries around the world as to which one could get the right to actually come and train here before the Games. And I, from my Olympic experience, just would say to everybody, enjoy the next 6 years counting down to the Games. It's going to be a wonderful time. Thank you very much. Told it's been my honor to introduce my boyhood hero, Sir Roger Bannister.
I was just pondering the title Ethos, which is a slightly unusual one for a sports centre. And I asked Lord Kerr, who is a Pembroke scholar from Oxford, which was the college that I had the pleasure to be head of. And he said he couldn't tell me. I mean, it was Greek, he thought. And so I was reminded of a story about a town, a true story, in which a sports goods outfitter wanted to add a little tone to his shop, make it more prosperous. So he put mens sana in corpore sano over the door, thinking, now that's going to bring them in. But there was another sports goods outfitter at the other end of the town, and he saw this, and it made him irritated, and so he put over his door, men's and women's sana in corpore sano. Well, I've only got 2 or 3 things to say. The first is to congratulate your rector and all those in the chain who were responsible for this. He had the energy and the foresight to realize it was a unique opportunity, and he borrowed the 17 million, knowing that this was something which had to be done for Imperial. And I congratulate you for that. There are not many people who could have achieved it in the way you have. The second thing is that a lot of my life, I was born in a suburb of London, a lot of my life has been linked with St Mary's Medical School, and a last section of my medical life has been a proud member of the Imperial College of Medicine, with which I have very close links now. And I think it's been a tremendous success. I would say that it's the most successful medical school created in this country, and I'm sure that the standard which has applied to the rest of Imperial College will increasingly involve the medical school, and that another generation of professors and doctors of distinction are going to come from Imperial. It is a problem being in London, being spread over such a wide area. It makes it difficult for students to feel a cohesion. And that is what a centre like this will do. For my sins, I've had to have opened with pleasure, as I have today, many sports centres. And I can't remember seeing one of this quality, in which the opportunity for taking part in so many different ranges of sport are open to all. I've just been told that the participation rate is around 70%, and it's barely got started. The numbers wanting to join for swimming and for Keep Fit is increasing all the time. And we have to put that in perspective for the country as a whole, where participation, even in the age group of the students here, is much, much lower, 20-25%. When I was involved with the Sports Council, the object was to put up multi-purpose indoor sports centres just like this around the country. Local authorities were very good at it in the 70s. There were about 1,500 of them, costing then 10 million or so. Some of them have not been sustained as well as they should have been by local authorities. And I was very concerned, as far as the universities were concerned, by the dropout of those interested in learning and wanting to get their firsts or their 2-1s, but who had sporting talents, as very many university students have and have learnt and had the opportunities of sport at school. And what did they do? They dropped the sport. And that was a grave loss to the country's capacity to compete internationally. It gets more and more difficult internationally to keep up with the other countries in which they have possibly a different approach, which we wouldn't entirely subscribe to, but it does enable them to get ahead in certain sports. And so I've just been talking to your rector, and it is, I think, possible that those who are in the Olympic stream should have greater tolerance in terms of the number of years with which they have to get through their finals. They can't take advantage of it, but it would be a great help to the country to keep them going on with sport. That's all I have to say, but congratulations to the rector and to all those involved. You've got a brilliant centre here, and it's going to add to the distinction which Imperial already has academically, and you will be trouncing your rivals, I'm sure, in other universities. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Roger. Now I'd like to introduce a special alumnus of Imperial College, Martin McElroy. He coached, as I said earlier, Britain's Olympic gold medal winning rowing 8 to victory in the 2000 Sydney Olympic Games. He also founded and developed a high-performance training centre for athletes that yielded 4 World Championship medals and Olympic gold medals within 3 years. I'm delighted that Martin has agreed to join us today to share just one example of elite sporting achievement from Imperial. Ladies and gentlemen, Martin McElroy.
Thank you, Richard. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sure many of you remember Steve Redgrave and his adventures in Sydney, and I'm sure you all have heard about that. And as Richard said, there was something else going on the day after that when the men's 8 from Great Britain won an Olympic gold for the first time in 88 years. And there was an unwritten story and a story underneath the current of that, which was about Imperial College. I'm an alumni of the college, and I've always felt a great connection to the college, the opportunities, the people that I met, the opportunities it afforded me. And the guys here with me, 3 of the guys who were in that Olympic 8, you can see a picture over there of them with their Olympic gold medal. But part of the story is actually told by a picture that isn't there, that almost immediately after the race, and there's a picture in the boat club of these 3 guys on the telephone to a gentleman called Bill Mason, who was actually the coach of Imperial College, and a man I would identify as my mentor as a coach, the guy who actually helped train me to be a coach. And that's part of the story of these guys, that the core, the culture, the driving force behind that 8 came from Imperial College. It came from Imperial College Boat Club. And I'd like to think that in some way what these guys achieved helped a little bit in the impetus to get something like this off the ground. And it makes me feel extremely proud to be here today to see how sport is moving on in the college, because it's so important to have some balance. It would be very easy to be totally focused on academic life and forget about having some balance in our lives. And that's the great thing about sport. The thing that we found at the boat club was you could be a complete beginner, and one of these guys, Lewis Attrell, was a complete beginner at 18 years of age, and yet 4 or 5 years later, he's an Olympic gold medalist. So I think there's a story and an example in there for everybody in the college about what can be achieved in sport in a college. And that's, I think, one of the most important messages that I bring here today, really. It's about participation at entry level. It's also about the opportunity to excel. That's something that actually makes us feel very proud of our journey through Imperial College. What we're going to do, just by way of a gesture, is ask these guys to sit on a rowing machine, which I doubt if either of them actually done for quite some time. I know Lewis was actually worried about bursting his trousers, but I'm sure they'll manage it for just a few strokes at least. And as a gesture to indicate the opening of this great facility. And what we're going to do is get Sir Roger just to say the go, and then we can delight in the physical effort of these gold medalists. I'm going to talk them up a little bit so that you don't suffer any disappointment when you actually see them doing it. Of course, if they'd actually taken their shirts off, you'd see that they're bulging with muscles and at the peak of physical fitness. So when you're ready, gentlemen. So in great Olympic form there, you can see they're really under pressure already. Lewis is keeping an eye on Simon. Of course, they will be quite competitive. They always were. Unfortunately, Lewis can't see how hard Simon is pulling, so Simon's got the upper edge here. You better win, Simon, or the beers are on you, okay? This is what I spent many hours of my life actually doing, is watching this type of activity. So there. How are we doing? That's about it. So I think all we can actually do at this stage is honour our Olympians and say that this centre is well and truly open.
Okay, thank you very much, Martin. Thank you, Roger. Now we've got the centre officially open. We've got Imperial sports staff to show you around if you'd like to tour the building. And also we're going to have a reception, so take advantage of that. So I think the people are around. If you want to go in groups around the building, see all the facilities, go downstairs, see the swimming pool, all the squash courts, everything there. And thank you very much to everyone.